The events begin with Yukari on a ship that is about to sink. There was a man on the boat who reached out to help Yukari. Yukari didn't know who this man was, but he felt like he recognized him. In the next scene, Yukari wakes up on another ship and discovers that he was dreaming. After he wakes up, an elderly woman calls out to him and asks for help carrying her bag because her back hurts. Yukari agrees and helps her. Afterward, the ship's crew announces that they will soon enter an area known as the Old Town and that they will reach Shimonoseki in 10 minutes, mentioning that the weather in China is very good. Then, a news broadcast appears on television. The anchor warns that during heavy rain, there could be strong winds or high waves, and that residents living near the sea should stay far away from it. The anchor further states that this issue of heavy rainfall is unpredictable and has been occurring for the last 20 years, suggesting that the government and the global organizations are helpless. The heavy rains have caused sea levels to rise 100 meters above normal, leading to the flooding of many coastal areas, including large cities and agricultural and industrial regions. The anchor also notes that most younger generations know nothing about ancient ways of life, and their information comes from internet videos. The anchor tells the female host that there is a strong storm today, emphasizing that no one should approach the sea. Yukari sees a gigantic whale while on the ship, but the elderly woman tells him she doesn't see anything, and that no creature could survive in such harsh waves. Yukari doubts his own eyes and wonders what brought him here. He recalls that in the place where he lived, the capital Nagano, there were no fish, storms, or any dangers. Yukari reminisces and remembers a scene where he stood before a nun. The nun tells him he is not an orphan and that he has a grandfather. Yukari is surprised because he thought she had found him on the stairs. However, the nun explains that this is what his grandfather told her to say. After that, the nun gives Yukari a paper with his grandfather's address and asks what he wants to do. Yukari takes the paper from her and tells her he will think about it. Later, Yukari returns to the present on the ship and is shocked to see a massive hurricane in the middle of the sea. A gigantic whale then emerges from the water and says, "I found you." Yukari is startled when he hears the whale's voice. The whale then jumps onto the ship and breaks the windows. Yukari is frightened, but notices that no one else can see the whale. All the passengers can only see the storm and the waves. The whale transforms into monsters and attacks the passengers. Yukari begins to run away to escape, but one of the monsters wraps around his leg. Just as the monster is about to crush Yukari, a woman appears holding a spear surrounded by a green aura. She saves Yukari and kills all the monsters inside the ship. After that, the whale escapes and goes back beneath the water. The woman looks at Yukari in surprise, noticing the blue aura surrounding him. She hugs Yukari tightly and cries, saying, "I finally found you." As she embraces him strongly, she apologizes afterward. Yukari asks her who she is and how she knows his name, but she pulls him by the hand and begins to move. On their way, she tells him that until recently, they didn't know about his existence, but they discovered that Toshimasa had been providing them with false reports. After that, the woman introduces herself to Yukari, saying her name is Sin. She explains that she has been sent by the Maritime Public Safety Agency, known as the Holy Agency, to ensure his safety, and that they have a mission to find a new contractor to protect the country. At the end, Sin tells Yukari that he is the last surviving member of the Fujikura family. Yukari sits in thought, wondering what Sin is talking about, as this is the first time he has heard those names. He questions the connection between her and the monster that appeared. Sin tells him that he is now considered part of her family, leaving Yukari even more confused as he asks himself, "Who am I?" Yukari remembers the dream he had on the ship at the beginning of the events. The man who tried to help him in the dream, but he quickly returns to the present. Then, a man on the ship asks Yukari and Sin if they are okay. Sin sees boats approaching and says they are civilians, instructing Yukari to stay put, and she will return later. Sin tells Yukari that this man is one of the civilians. Afterward, Sin jumps from the ship and leaves him. The boats take Yukari and bring him to the hospital. We see a quick scene of an elderly man in the hospital looking out the window. The scene then shifts to Yukari in the hospital with a doctor. The doctor tells Yukari it's a miracle he survived with his injuries. He says the x-rays are fine, but Yukari is still thinking and asking himself, "What was the headache I had?" The doctor informs Yukari that he doesn't need to stay in the hospital any longer, and asks if he has a place to go. Yukari replies that yes, he does have a place to go, and shows the doctor the paper with his grandfather's address, revealing that Yukari's grandfather is in the same hospital in room 303. Yukari goes to his grandfather's room and discovers that his grandfather's name is Enmei, as the name is written on the door. Yukari enters the room, and as soon as he meets his grandfather, he introduces himself and tells Enmei that his adoptive mother told him that he is his grandfather. Enmei denies knowing Yukari, saying he must be mistaken. Enmei confirms to Yukari that he is the last survivor of his family, and that the rest passed away a long time ago, noting that he has been alone since then. Yukari asks Enmei if he knows anything about his adoptive mother, Kiko, or if he knows his childhood friend, but Enmei replies that he knows nothing about her and requests Yukari to leave his room. Yukari shouts and asks Enmei about the monster he saw in the sea and about the Holy Agency, questioning him angrily. "Who am I?" Enmei gets angry and insists to Yukari one last time that he does not know him and has no grandchildren, then orders him to return to where he came from. Yukari apologizes and leaves the room. As he descends the stairs, he slips and falls to the ground, then begins to laugh while crying on the floor, asking himself, "Is there anyone I can return to?" Suddenly, the monster from the sea emerges from underneath the ground and attacks Yukari. Yukari thinks that no one is there to save him this time, so he grabs a stick and decides to defend himself. Yukari charges at the monster with the stick, but the monster twists around the stick and drowns Yukari under the water. Yukari surrenders to death, but in his final moments, a yellow light appears, and the man he saw in his dream on the ship arrives, mocking him for struggling before a small fish. The man reaches out to Yukari, recalling the scene from the dream, and says, "If you want to live, you have just one chance. Grab my hand." Yukari extends his hand to grab the man's hand, and suddenly, a sword appears in Yukari's grasp. The scene shifts to the hospital, where Enmei is tapping Sin's hand, telling her he couldn't reach Professor Fujikura. Sin tells Enmei that Yukari is the new Sacred One, and this is the will of the Holy Agency. Enmei laughs and says that what happened was Ishibashi's doing. Enmei remarks that Ishibashi calls himself a brilliant strategist, but he considers him just a child, causing Enmei to doubt the accuracy of this information. Sin gets angry and tells him that she will not allow him to insult her leader any further, but Enmei tells her that he has been battling flood disasters for over 50 years and tells her to look out the window. The sun is not visible, the sea is constantly stormy, and the city is drowning more each day than before. Enmei tells Sin to look at their pitiful situation, saying that they can do nothing but delay the inevitable. He tells her that adding one of his grandchildren to the workforce will make no difference, and insists that they have lost. Sin responds to Enmei, saying she respects him for everything he has done on the front lines, unlike the cowardly members of the council, but Sin insists that they must continue fighting. The scene returns to Yukari with the sword in his hand. Yukari says the sword appeared suddenly when he grabbed the man's hand. The man asks Yukari, "A child like you is my new contractor?" Yukari asks who the man is, and he replies that he is the Guardian of Light, and his name is Todai. Todai explains that he embodies the light found in the lighthouse and is the guardian of the sea. Todai tells Yukari that from today, you will use me as the Sacred One, and explains that he will be involved in the extermination of the water demons, known as Suika, in the Sea of Japan. Yukari reflects on what Sin said about the Sacred Ones, and asks Todai what he knows about them. Todai replies that that's enough information for now, as long as Yukari understands his situation. Todai explains that since ancient times, monsters have been born from the energy of resentment spread around the world, referring to these monsters as flood disasters. Todai warns that if they don't stop these monsters, all of Japan will drown in the sea. Suddenly, the monster attacks Yukari again, knocking him into the water. Todai instructs Yukari to get out of the water, since it is the monster's playground. The monster prepares for its next strike, and Todai tells Yukari to close his eyes and calm his heart. Yukari feels a sudden warmth. Todai explains that this warmth is due to his spiritual energy. He encourages Yukari to let his body be guided by this energy and to swing the sword. Yukari swings his sword, and a blow emerges from it, colliding with the monster's strike, causing an explosion. However, Yukari's strike was weak, and the monster attacks Yukari again, hitting him with a powerful strike that sends him flying. Todai explains that Yukari will not know how to use his power fully until he formally makes a contract at the foot of the lighthouse. Yukari passes out from the impact of the monster's blow. Todai tries to awaken Yukari to avoid the monster's next strike. Yukari recalls all the moments he has been through. The monster swallows Yukari, but at the last moment, Yukari unleashes energy with his sword, exploding the monster from within and killing it. Todai is incredibly amazed, as he never expected Yukari to let the monster eat him on purpose, to be able to explode it from the inside, since the monster's outer skin is very tough. After defeating the monster, Yukari feels intense warmth in his arm and then loses consciousness. The next morning, Yukari awakens in a bed on the ship and feels severe pain in his arm, noticing a mark on it. Shortly after, Todai appears to explain that this mark means he took an oath and became a protector. He mentions that this mark will double in size in its original form. Todai tells Yukari that if his energy diminishes, this mark will spread throughout the rest of his body. Sin interrupts them with her personal guard, who jokingly tells Yukari that he is going to die and has reached his limit. Sin yells at her personal guard, addressing him as Mihonushiki. Todai and Mihonushiki start arguing, and Sin is happy that Yukari woke up and tells him that she saw the light of the contract yesterday and ran quickly toward him, finding him unconscious. Then she carried him aboard her ship, stating that Todai informed her of the details. After that, Sin hugs Yukari tightly and thanks him. Then Todai interrupts them, saying there is no time since his physical body, which is the Tsunoshima lighthouse, is on the verge of destruction. Today, Todai tells Sin that they need to send a rescue team immediately. Todai says that as guardians, they are connected to the saints, and if the saints' energy decreases, their beacons will weaken as well. Todai tells Yukari that his grandfather Aimi was a saint once, but he has reached his limit, and that's why the contract needs to be renewed quickly. Yukari is shocked that Aimi lied to him, and that he really is his grandfather. Sin then asks Todai if the guardians used the halo technique on their side, and Todai confirms they did. He tells her that a saint is still alive, at least he understands the techniques. Mihonosuke interrupts Todai and asks if the current change in spiritual energy isn't considered a failure. Mihonosuke adds that, in actuality, Todai's communication has only made it halfway, meaning the beacon still can't regain its strength. Todai shouts at Yukari, telling him to go to his beacon and touch his spiritual crystal, the Fresnel lens. Todai tells Yukari that when the contract is complete, he will be able to regain his full power, and he stresses that this is a family mission and a duty as Amy's grandson. Yukari asks Todai, "Why me?" He questions whether just being related to Amy means he is obligated to this mission. Yukari points out that Amy himself said he's not his grandfather, and he tells Todai he won't fight the monsters even if it costs him his life. Yukari doesn't want to fight for a family that abandoned him. Todai gets angry and asks Yukari, "Do you have any idea how much we've sacrificed so far?" Todai raises his hand as if to hit Yukari, but Sin stops him. Sin tells Yukari to forget about the relation and blood because they aren't originally from the saint's lineage, they are originally from the common folk. Sin asks Yukari, "Why are you alive?" She tells him he needs to understand why his grandfather stayed away from him. Sin explains that she understands he has always done what he was told to do, not what he wants. She tells him that she was exactly like him. Then scenes of Sin as a child appear, sitting in the street in the rain with a man reaching out to her. Sin tells herself that even now, she only needs to hear that man praise her. Sin tells Yukari to come with her to the beacon, saying there he will find a way to heal his pain, and Yukari agrees. Suddenly, a monster attacks the ship, saying it smells something delicious, and it's going to swallow them all. Yukari is surprised, saying it's the same monster from last time. Sin thinks to herself that no one but the Holy Agency knew Yukari's movements, and she says Ishibashi might have predicted everything. Sin instructs Yukari to stay put and rest while she handles the monster. Yukari wants to come with her, but Sin tells him that his spiritual energy is depleted. Sin then takes off her jacket to reveal her muscles and her mark, telling Yukari she won't be late. Sin confronts the monster, which tells her that the darkness of the night is the source of its power and that it will cut her down to show its true form. The monster begins to transform into a massive creature. Yukari is shocked by the monster's transformation, and Todai tells him the danger of the sea at night is not due to storms, but because monsters are more active at night. Todai explains that the Suika monsters draw their power from shadows, which is why they built the beacons to light the way. Todai adds that the more Suika monsters devour souls, the stronger and smarter they become. Todai informs Yukari that this monster is 10 times stronger than the one they defeated. The monster claims it's lucky to eat 2 saints in one day, but Sin jumps at it and delivers a powerful thrust with her spear. Then, Sin leaps and delivers a strong punch to the monster's face, sending it flying. The monster is surprised by Sin's strength, and she continues to launch quick attacks that the monster can't keep up with. Yukari is amazed by Sin's speed, but Todai tells Yukari that Sin is not an ordinary saint. Sin remains the leader of the waters responsible for guarding the area. Sin is delivering rapid blows, and the monster still can't match her speed. It thinks to itself that she is incredibly strong, but Sin begins to feel pain in her arm, and the mark on her arm starts to spread. Yukari notices this, and Todai clarifies that the mark is spreading because the lens is swallowing Sin's spiritual energy. Todai adds that when the mark burns, it means her energy is almost depleted. He also notes that the mark has spread all around Sin's arm, so she fights fiercely to kill the monster quickly. Sin delivers a final blow to the monster, sending it flying, but it withstands the attack and summons snake-like monsters from the water that surround Sin. The monster thinks it has won, but Sin erupts in green light and kills the snakes. After that, Sin hurls her spear at the monster. The monster tries to deflect the attack, but the spear pierces its arm. Luckily for the monster, it manages to shift the spear's path at the last second, resulting in only a wound instead of a fatal blow. Before the monster can comprehend the situation, Sin leaps at it with a terrifying punch that explodes its head, killing it. Yukari rushes to Sin to check on her. Sin shows clear signs of fatigue and exhaustion, but she gets on the boat and tells Yukari they need to go to the beacon quickly. Mihonosuke mocks Sin, telling her if she's tired at this level, it means she's not making any progress and that she's still weak. Sin tells him she knows this. The scene shifts to a man with long red hair sitting on a rock in the water, observing the shattered skull of the monster, saying something interesting is happening. The scene returns to Sin, who tells Yukari they are about to reach the beacon. Sin tells Yukari that as soon as they arrive, he should go up to the light room on the upper floor, because the Fresnel lens is there. Sin hands the wheel of the ship to Yukari, telling him to watch over the ship while she kills the monsters to clear the way. Yukari says he can't steer the ship, but Sin responds that if he can't carve his own path with his strength, he has no future. Sin jumps from the boat and leaps at the monsters, killing them brutally. Then a red light glows from her spear, and tree trunks rise from the water to wrap around the monsters. Yukari finally reaches the beacon and rushes with Tudai toward the upper floor. As soon as they reach the gate, a huge monster lunges at Yukari and grabs him. The monster asks if he's the fool from the Fujikura family. The monster is about to devour Yukari, but Amy, Yukari's grandfather, appears and delivers a fatal blow to the monster with his sword, saving Yukari. Amy threatens the monster, telling it not to put its filthy hands on his grandson. "You scum." After that, the monster explodes. Taudai is shocked and asks Amy why he is there. Amy tells Tudai that he can't fool him. Amy uncovers his right arm, revealing his mark, and tells Tudai that the mark is only half as usual. Tudai responds to Amy, saying, "Because you don't want it." But Amy replies that their contract remains unfulfilled. Suddenly, Amy starts to bleed from his mouth. Yukari tries to check on him, but Amy asks Yukari what brought him there. Amy wanted Yukari to live in the town without knowing anything. Yukari responds to Amy, saying he came to discover what he needs to do for himself. Yukari tells Amy he can't return until he discovers this. Suddenly, many monsters appear and pounce on Yukari. Amy tells Yukari to leave quickly, because everything is ready now. The Light Guardian, the body of the former saint, and the emblem. Amy kills the monsters and orders Yukari to go while he holds off the monsters. Yukari leaves, and Amy stands alone against the monsters, saying to himself, "I've grown well so far. What can I say?" Then Amy lunges at the monsters. Tudai tells Yukari to echo his chants. Yukari starts to repeat Tudai's chants while Amy fights the monsters. Then a yellow light appears and enters Yukari's body. The yellow light emanates from the entire beacon, burning all the surrounding monsters. Amy sees the light and says, "I'm sorry, Hotaru and Akyu, I couldn't keep my promise." Yukari is astonished by the light, and suddenly, he transfers to another place in front of the beacon. Yukari notices that it's daytime and asks himself, "Where am I?" He looks behind him to see 4 people, including Tudai and Amy, while the other 2 are Akyu and Hotaru, Yukari's father and mother. Suddenly, Taudai appears beside Yukari in a small body, telling him that these are indeed his parents, and that what he's seeing is a scene from 20 years ago. Tudai explains that these memories were stored in the Fresnel lens. Yukari notices that the city was sunny and without any clouds. Tudai says that the current state of the city indicates a decline in the power of the Holy Agency. However, Tudai mentions that this area was specifically protected by the Fujikura family. Tudai tells Yukari that he's actually forbidden to show these memories. The memories shift to a different scene. 2 years after Akyu inherited the contract, Hotaru surprises Amy, revealing she's pregnant and that she will have a grandchild for the first time. Amy begins to cry, and as Yukari watches the scene, he starts to cry too. Suddenly, the memories shift to another scene, showing a gigantic monster with 16 arms attempting to attack a ship. Akyu, Yukari's father, confronts the monster, but he is injured and bleeding. Hotaru lunges at the monster, but it kills her. The scene changes to Hotaru crying over Akyu's body, while Amy watches the situation. Hotaru weeps, saying she didn't want to pass this on, and always wondered if this day would come. Amy looks out the window and notices that the city has flooded. Amy says he needs to make a new contract with Taudai until he finds another heir. Suddenly, Hotaru bleeds and clutches Amy, asking him to promise not to let her son become a saint ever. She tells him that Akyu died because of him and begs him not to involve their family in these matters anymore, stating she wants to protect this child with all her strength, but her time is running out. Amy agrees, telling Hotaru he will tell the agency the child wasn't born and that their family line has ended. After that, Amy takes Yukari, who is still a baby, to an orphanage, saying that the head of the orphanage is a childhood friend of his and that he can trust her. Amy enters the orphanage and hands the child to the head, then leaves while crying. The memories then end, and Yukari returns to the present to meet Amy, telling him he saw the memories and now understands why he abandoned him. Amy asks Yukari about the head of the orphanage, whose name is Mano, and asks if she's good or not. Yukari responds that she's good, but sometimes Mano was scary. Amy remembers childhood memories and replies that he was also afraid of her when she was angry. Amy and Yukari laugh together, and Amy apologizes to Yukari for not being able to keep him from becoming a saint. Yukari replies that he knows the path will be difficult, but that's the decision he made. Yukari states that he always envied children who had families. Yukari used to see the children who were being adopted and told himself that if he became a good child, he would have a family. That's why he listened to what people said and did what he was told. But now he is grateful that he was not adopted. Yukari thanks his grandmother for protecting him and tells her he wants to see the scene he witnessed in his memories one day. While Yukari is talking, a man stabs Anime with a sword, and the man looks at Yukari and says, "Nice to meet you. I'll give you a catastrophic night." Both Yukari and Anime are shocked by what just happened. Todai addresses the man and says, "Yoshiharu, you treacherous bastard." Yoshiharu tells Yukari that he is happy with his efforts, and that having a new saint is the first major achievement in 40 years. Yukari is still in a state of shock, and Todai shouts at Yukari to run away because Yoshiharu is dangerous. Yukari loses feeling in his legs and is unable to move. Yoshiharu raises his sword and mockingly tells Yukari that he has nothing on him, because the actions of the Saint Agency lately have not been pleasing to the eye. Yoshiharu says to Yukari, "I will kill you." But suddenly, Yoshiharu stops and his expression changes when he sees blue energy coming from Yukari's right eye and asks, "What is that in your eye?" Suddenly, the massive monster with 16 arms that killed Yukari's father appears. Yoshiharu smiles and tells Yukari that this monster is the ruler of water and king of Suika monsters. But then Sin appears just in time and surrounds the monster with branches. Yoshiharu recognizes Mihanuski, Sin's guardian, and praises Sin for her ability to restrain Mihanuski, calling him a crazy battle monster. Yoshiharu then strikes Sin and throws her away, telling her that she is weak, and it seems her energy has drained. Yukari is shocked by how easily Sin was defeated. Then Anime, who is injured from Yoshiharu's earlier stab, wakes up and throws some crystals. The crystals are smoke bombs that distract Yoshiharu, while Sin uses that opportunity to carry Anime and Yukari and tries to escape with them. Sin takes them to the ship, and Yukari notices that Anime's wound doesn't stop bleeding. Anime then tells Yukari to leave him and go because he will slow him down. Anime says that Yoshiharu's goal is to kill Yukari, and he explains that Yoshiharu is a traitor, and that the giant monster Emperor Ryugu will soon break free from Sin's technique, and there is no other choice. Yukari cries and begs Anime not to go, but Anime thanks him for choosing this path, which allowed him to meet him. Then Anime goes alone to face Yoshiharu. Anime confronts Yoshiharu, and Yoshiharu tells him that he will cut him into pieces. Yoshiharu then lunges at Anime. The scene shifts inside the agency, where Sin is talking to someone through a golden crystal, telling him that she managed to save Yukari, but her power was not enough. The person responds that Yoshiharu's appearance was unexpected, but at least they managed to save Yukari. He tells her that Yukari will be able to stop the Knight of Ouroboros, and that he will be their secret weapon. He orders her to go to the main headquarters of the Saint Agency, Kotoera Temple. The scene shifts to see a girl reading a letter, then she rejoices and says that she has been accepted. She then looks at a picture of herself with Sin and says, "Finally, I will meet my mentor." Inclusively, after 10 days, Yukari and Sin arrive in Kagawa Prefecture, near Mount Zozu. Sin tells Yukari that they are close to the headquarters of the Saint Agency. Sin notices that Yukari is silent and sad because of what happened with Anime. She offers him lunch and presents him with mangoes from a shop, but Yukari tells her that he doesn't feel hungry. Yukari and Sin arrive at the entrance of the Saint Agency. Sin tells Yukari to close his eyes and enter through the curtain in front of him, as this is a magical gate that protects the magical organization and can distinguish between friend and foe. Yukari does as Sin instructed, and when they enter through the gate, they are transported inside the sacred agency, but an alarm sounds announcing the entrance of intruders. A voice comes from the microphone ordering the operatives to capture the intruders. Sin recalls that the director told her to wait in front of the gate and not to enter, so she realizes that she is the cause of this alarm. Suddenly, Yukari finds himself in the middle of a forest, and a girl appears and lunges at Yukari, throwing him to the ground. She claims to have captured the suspect, and her name is Tiroku. Tiroku. The scene then shifts to the main headquarters of the Saint Agency, Tomiokan, where Yukari, Sin, and Tiroku stand in front of 3 people, including the president. The president laughs heartily at the situation, but Nanaki, the head of the Sanokai area, says that this is not a matter for laughter. However, San, the president's assistant, laughs and tells Nanaki that it's all fine. San then apologizes to President Ishibashi and tells him that she is ready to take responsibility and accept punishment, but Tiroku intervenes and apologizes as well, saying that it was her fault, not Sin's. Ishibashi responds that he won't punish anyone because this incident was entertaining. Ishibashi introduces himself to Yukari and tells him he is the president here. After that, Ishibashi orders Tiroku to take Yukari to their quarters to rest. Then Ishibashi sits with Sin, Nanaki, and San to discuss the mission. Ishibashi concludes that the attack on Yukari was from a weak-level monster, then a high-level monster, and then Yoshiharu. It's not a coincidence. There is a spy inside the agency. The others are surprised, but Ishibashi tells them that this is not the first time. Someone named Sakanogu had done it before. There have always been people who fall to the powers of darkness, but this time, they have used the King of Suika monsters. Ishibashi says they are still human, even Yoshiharu himself, and humans cannot control high-level monsters, which implies that behind all this could be the original sorcerer. The scene shifts to Yukari, who is walking behind Tiroku. Yukari notices that Tiroku is ignoring him. Then they arrive at a room, and Tiroku tells Yukari that this will be his room. When Yukari tries to enter the room, Tiroku stops him, causing him to fall to the ground, and then calls him a stupid fool. She suddenly lunges at him, telling him he is weak and that he should stop being a saint, warning him like a child waiting to receive orders. Yukari gets angry and tries to defend himself. The two begin to fight, but Todai and another guard intervene to stop them. The other guard is Tiroku's personal guard, named Rokusaki. Tiroku tells Rokusaki not to interrupt her, but Rokusaki threatens her that if she doesn't stop, he won't help her. Tiroku goes silent and leaves the room. But before she exits, she tells Yukari to meet her in front of his room in uniform in 2 hours. After the annoying girl finally leaves the room, Yukari comments that this is the first time he has his own room. Then he lies down on the bed and says he needs to rest. Todai tells Yukari that the sadness he feels can't be removed permanently because the past doesn't move forward. Todai encourages Yukari, telling him to look ahead because a person can only change the future. Then there's a knock at his door. The scene shifts to the front gate of the agency, where the saints notice the heavy rain. Then a suspicious puddle of water appears on the ground, and when the saints approach the puddle, they are split in half and brutally killed. Then a voice says, "Yukari, are you here?" 2 hours later, at exactly 10 o'clock, Yukari rushes out of his room, apologizing to Tiroku for being late from sleeping. Tiroku scolds him, saying she can't believe a saint could sleep in until midnight, and tells him that the president is waiting for him. When Yukari enters the commander's office, the commander begs him to help them. The commander tells Yukari that he needs to gather all the lights from the lighthouses to save humanity. The commander tells Yukari that he is the only one who can save humanity. Yukari is shocked by the commander's words and finds it hard to comprehend. Then Sin asks Yukari to go on a journey and take Nakazawa and Tiroku with him as guides, stating that the goal of this journey is to save the world. Suddenly, the alarm rings, and an explosion happens at the front gate, revealing a giant monster. The commander orders Sin to gather the lighthouse owners and prepare for suppression. Then the commander orders Nanaki to gather the unqualified forces and take them to the shelter. Consequently, Nanaki orders Tiroku to take the low-level forces to the shelter and excuses himself from Yukari, telling him that they will continue their conversation later. Tiroku accompanies Yukari for evacuation, and Yukari asks her if all the saints are not part of the forces. Tiroku responds that the saints who have contracts with the Light Guardians are part of the forces, but the other saints are considered support, and the forces must protect the support. Suddenly, a monster appears behind Tiroku and Yukari. Tiroku pulls out her staff and uses it to generate smoke, completely distracting the monster. Todai informs Yukari that Tiroku's ability is to produce smoke, and inhaling this smoke causes temporary hallucinations. He tells him that Tiroku's ability has significant room for development, but her current level is good for her age. Tiroku takes out a dagger and tears the monster to shreds, but when she thinks she has won, the monster lunges at her again, but Yukari jumps in to protect her, resulting in his injury. The monster splits into several copies. Amid this fighting, a small one-eyed monster watches and reports what is happening to Yoshiharu. After that, Todai tells Toroku to run immediately because the monster is strong for her, but Toroku refuses to flee. Suddenly, she throws an electric net at the monster, paralyzing it. Nanaki appears and tells them to come quickly and hide with him. After that, Nanaki tells them to leave this monster to him and scolds Toroku, saying there's a difference between courage and recklessness. The scene shifts to Yukari and Toroku in a safe place. Someone is treating Yukari's wound, but Toroku feels so angry about what happened that she slaps her own face. Suddenly, another monster lunges at them and grabs Yukari. Then Yoshiharu appears and tells them to behave themselves so he won't have to use violence. Yoshiharu informs Yukari that he came with him because he needs his power. Then Yoshiharu looks at Yukari with a vile gaze and tells him that he dissected anime and tore him into small pieces, mocking anime and how he died. After that, Yukari explodes with rage, and blue light emanates from his left eye, ripping the monster he is holding to shreds. Yoshiharu beams with delight when he sees the power of Yukari, but he is interrupted by the president and his personal guard. The president then tells Yukari that it's time for him to leave. After Yoshiharu departs, the president informs Yukari that the blue light in his left eye is his special power, called Mirror of the Sky. A full day after the attack, workers are repairing the damage caused by the attack. Yukari receives some equipment from a man. The equipment includes a crystal storage, a communication stone used to contact other saints because the radio doesn't work at sea, and night eye glasses used for night vision. Toroku enters and is surprised that Yukari will go on the journey because Yukari was very scared last night. A few hours ago, in the medical office, Yukari meets with Sin, Toroku, and their personal guards. Todai presents the report of what happened. Last night the barrier broke, 3 people died, and 41 were injured. Sin states that the goal of the attack was not to destroy them, but there was another objective, and then the president interrupts them with his assistant. The president says that the target of the attack was likely one of Yoshiharu's games. Yukari asks the president to tell him more about his special ability, Eye of the Mirror of Heaven. The president uses his power and transports Yuraki, Sin, and Toriko with him to another place. He brings them to the middle of a forest. Todai comments that the place looks like a scene from before the monsters appeared, and they find a large Frinsel lens in front of them. Suddenly, Yukari's left eye glows and he feels intense pain. Then, a blue beam shoots from his eye and heads towards the lens. The president begins to explain, saying that since his childhood, he has read all the files in the agency, looking for a way to eliminate the Suika monsters, but he found no solution. However, one day, he was drawn to some files from the ancient Meiji era titled The Lighthouse, and he read in the files that there is an incredible lens in every lighthouse, with no specific use, and that this is the lens they are standing in front of now. The leader explains that he recently discovered another interesting book, and he takes it out, telling Yuraki, "This book was written by your ancestor Kentatsu, the first president of the holy organization." Both Todai and Yuraki are surprised. Then, the president begins to read from the book, "Leave this lens for future generations. The Eye of the Mirror of Heaven, and its secret skill that gathers the holy light from the eyes. Present this light to the great lighthouse, and it will destroy the Suika monsters." After the president finishes reading, Sin asks him what this means. The president clarifies that the successor of the Fujikara family must gather the light from all the lighthouses in Japan and present it to the Great Lens. Then, the lens will use all this power to eliminate the Suika monsters. Todai mentions that he had a contract with Kentatsu at that time, and that he had never heard of any of this before. The president replies that Kentatsu deliberately hid this information, leaving it only as a fragment to be discovered. After that, the president calls for Koshima, and a falcon appears and transforms into a telescope. The president says that Koshima's ability is to predict the future, and he orders Koshima to show them Japan's future. Suddenly, they find themselves seeing a tragic sight. The president tells them that they are now standing at the top of Fuji. Everyone is shocked and horrified at the reality that what they are witnessing is Japan's future, and the president tells them that if the agency loses, and the cursed beginning sorcerer wins, this is what the future of Japan will look like, completely submerged underwater. He then tells Yukari that he is the last remaining descendant of the Fujikara family, so he is the only one capable of saving Japan. Yukari tells the president that this is a lot to absorb right now. The president then laughs, trying to lighten the atmosphere. After 30 minutes, the president transports Yukari to the second Ime location, telling him that he wants to show him the kind of life his grandfather Ime lived. Yukari enters the house and finds it abandoned. He then sees a mark on the wall, similar to the mark on his arm, and a beam connects the 2 marks, causing a hidden door to appear. Yuraki opens the door to discover that it is his grandfather's room. Todai tells Yuraki that Ime used his mark as a key to his secret room, and that he was very meticulous, keeping all his precious belongings in that room. Then, Uraki finds his grandfather's diary. He opens the book to find a picture of himself as a child, then sees many pictures of himself as a child at various occasions while he was in the orphanage. Suddenly, a photo falls from the book, with the back of the photo saying, "Thank you for being born." In the picture, Ime is seen holding Yukari when he was still a baby. After that, Yukari quietly exits the house. The leader asks him how he liked the house. Yukari responds, saying that he always thought he was alone, and later wanted to walk with his grandfather as a family, but that is no longer possible now that his grandfather has been killed. Yukari mentions that for the first time in his life, he cannot forgive anyone. Then he starts to cry. The president tells him that if he unites with the cursed beginning sorcerer, he will be able to eliminate Yoshiharu. The leader asks Uraki one last time, "Will you fight with us?" Yukari then tells himself that he can only feel the darkness of hatred now. He says he will use this darkness with the light of the lighthouses to eliminate Yoshiharu. Then the scene shifts to Toriko, walking in a slippery place, blaming Yukari for the situation they are in. Suddenly, Toriko slips and falls on her face, realizing she is melting and claiming that they are trapped here. Her guardian tells her that the communication stones are not working and that something is blocking the signal. 3 hours ago, the team stands in front of a luxurious ship. Uraki and his companions enter the ship, feeling astonished by it. Sin tells the team that they will train in Kashinozaki. She mentions that the leader had told her before that she was of the sensory type, which is why she was trained by Unomi, the commander of the 4th Water Region, who is classified as rational type. Toriko gets excited about meeting this commander, and Sin shares that he is a wonderful leader, and that all the lighthouse owners who work with him are great. Then the ship sets sail to Kashinozaki. At night, around the Naruto Strait, a monster appears below the ship and strikes it, causing it to sink. The team prepares for battle, as many monsters pounce on the ship. Sin declares that she will protect the front and orders Yukari and Toriko to eliminate the monsters. Sin launches an attack on one of the monsters but notices they are absorbing spiritual energy. Yukari pounces on the monsters and slashes them with his sword. Toriko hesitates, but when a monster is about to attack Yukari, she leaps at it and tears it apart. But suddenly, a monster grabs them with its tongues, trying to swallow them. Sin attempts to attack the monster's main body in the water, but the monster uses Yukari and Toriko as shields. Sin hesitates for a moment, causing several of the monster's limbs to pounce on her and immobilize her. The monster swallows Yukari, Toriko, and Sin. The scene returns to the present inside the monster's body. Toriko's guardian blames her for her recklessness, but Toriko argues that Yukari is at fault too. Suddenly, Yukari and Sin appear behind her, but Sin shows signs of injury, causing Toriko to worry about her. Todai states that they need to avoid a long fight, explaining that this monster traps people inside alive until they are digested. Sin attacks the monster's belly with her spear, trying to create an exit, but her strike leaves no mark. Her guardian mocks her and reminds her that the monster absorbs spiritual energy, so the more energy it absorbs, the more monsters will come out of it. Suddenly, several monsters appear and attack the team. Yukari carries Sin on his back and runs with Toriko to escape. Toriko tries to use her smoke skill but fails as her skill is still incomplete. Suddenly, the monster opens its mouth and swallows a large amount of water. Yukari holds Toriko's hand while they are swept into the monster by the water. Yukari loses consciousness and wakes up to find the team safe, but Sin collapses from exhaustion. Todai comments that Sin saved them from falling by creating a temporary shelter by breaking the pine into fibers. Sin's guardian notes that the stomach acid level is rising and that they don't have much time left. He jokes with them that decay from the stomach acid is now a guaranteed outcome. Todai scolds him, asking him to find a solution until the last moment. Sin's guardian rebukes and blames Toriko while Yukari analyzes the situation mentally, trying to find a solution. Yukari notices that the monster cannot speak human language, which indicates that the monster is at a low level of power. Sin lost only because she tried to protect them. After a long consideration, Yukari discovers the solution, but in that moment, Toriko attempts to leap into the acid to find an exit, but Yukari grabs her at the last second, telling her that she will die from the acid if she jumps in. He scolds her for always being reckless and impulsive in every situation. Toriko cries, saying she does this because she has to give her all. Toriko's guardian reflects on memories from 10 years ago when Toriko was still a child. It was her first time coming with her mother, Shinonumi, to the agency. In memory, Toriko's guardian, Rokuzaki, tells Shinonumi that he did not want to come with her that day. Suddenly, they are interrupted by the former agency president, Sano, who asks her why she is here, telling her that her family's lineage does not deserve to be here. Sano tells Shinonumi that her father was a cowardly traitor who left his comrades and betrayed them on the battlefield. The young Toriko interrupts Sano and defends her mother, telling Sano that she will become stronger and stronger and will become the head of the water region in the future. Back to the present, Toriko tells Yukari that she must restore her family's tarnished reputation, so she cannot allow them to die here because of her. Yukari reassures her and tells her that they will get out of here. Then he shares his idea, asking Toriko to blow smoke using her skill as much as possible without stopping. Toriko trusts Yukari and executes what he says. Yukari then uses a tool that transforms into a small lifeboat, and the group jumps onto the boat. The monster opens its mouth again and swallows more water. But Yukari tells Toriko not to stop blowing the smoke. He explains that when the smoke inside the monster's body exceeds a certain limit, the monster will sneeze. Indeed, the monster sneezes, launching Yukari and the team outside. After freeing themselves from the monster's body, the monster charges at them once more. Yukari tries to strike the monster, but the monster absorbs it. Sin, struggling, tells Yukari to leave the monster to her. Sin leaps at the monster despite her severe injuries and unleashes an endless barrage of heavy strikes on it. The monster continues absorbing the blows until it finally explodes into pieces. Yukari and Toriko hug Sin in joy over their victory. Then, Yukari receives a call via the communication stone. The call is from Shinomiya, the president's assistant, who tells them that there is an urgent request in Kamuta Misaki, urging them to hurry there. 18 hours ago, in Kamuta Misaki, Sonoda, the vice president of the Junumi area, is found collapsed in his blood. Beside him is Yasunoga, the president of the Junumi area, who is also gravely injured. A mysterious figure appears before them, pointing a gun at Yasunoga, and blood spreads everywhere. After that, Yukari, Sin, and Toriko finally reach the area, where they are met by three people, led by a man named Kaisei, the assistant to the president of the Junumi region. Kaisei thanks them for their support, but warns them that the situation needs more experienced forces. Yukari and Toriko feel that Kaisei is underestimating them because they are newcomers, but Sin reassures Kaisei and informs him that they are capable of handling the situation. After Kaisei explains the situation to them, he reveals that a crab-type monster attacked the Kamuta lighthouse last night. President Yasunoga and Vice President Sonoda engaged in battle with the monster but failed, resulting in Sonoda losing his life. Yasunoga sustained severe injuries to her abdomen. Kaisei tells them that Sonoda had a contract with the Kamuta lighthouse, and due to his death, their protection has weakened, leading to significant damage throughout the area. Sin then requests to speak with Yasunoga. After that, the team goes to meet President Yasunoga, who tells them that she feels ashamed and humiliated. Sin reassures her not to worry. Yasunoga then apologizes to Yukari, saying she won't be able to help him gather the lighthouse lights at this time. Sin informs her that she needs to appoint a temporary contractor for the Kamuta lighthouse. Yasunoga replies that Sonoda has a successor named Haruhi, and that she sent a team to look for him, but they have not found him yet. About Sonoda's dwelling, crab monsters attack Sonoda's house, but Haruhi hides in an underground shelter. Haruhi is searching for an island to move to, away from the sea. However, while he is searching, one of the monsters breaks into the shelter and lunges at Haruhi, but Yukari saves him at the last moment and kills the monster. Then another monster appears, but Toriko attacks it. However, her dagger breaks as it is not strong enough to pierce the monster. Then Sin appears and delivers a fatal blow to the monster. After defeating the two monsters, Haruhi tells them that he will not come with them and that he does not want to be a saint. Then he runs away. Yukari and the others try to catch up with Haruhi, but Casey appears and throws a rope around Haruhi, holding him. Casey kicks Haruhi violently, but Sin defends Haruhi and orders Casey not to use violence against a child. Yukari heals Haruhi. Sin says she will take Haruhi to the lighthouse. The team goes with Haruhi to the lighthouse and splits into two groups, one to protect Haruhi and another to distract the monsters. Sin lands a strong blow on the monsters to distract them, and then they set up a barrier around Haruhi to buy time. After that, Haruhi finally reaches the lighthouse, and then a lighthouse keeper named Kamuta appears and tells them they are late. Then Todai greets the lighthouse keeper Kamuta and sarcastically calls him the young scholar. The lighthouse keeper tells Todai that he is older than him in human years. After that, Casey asks the lighthouse keeper to make a contract with the new saint. Then Haruhi chants the phrase, Fun al-Ahru, but the lighthouse keeper changes his mind and throws Haruhi away. The lighthouse keeper tells Haruhi that he is a worthless boy and does not want to make a contract with him. He says the keepers have the right to choose their contractors, and he does not want to contract with a foolish boy like him. The lighthouse keeper then tells Haruhi that his mother was an excellent fighter who was adored by people and won their hearts. Haruhi angrily replies that he does not care about his mother, and says that his mother neglected his sick father. The lighthouse keeper then says that if Haruhi finds his turtle, Kiku, which disappeared during the fight, he will reconsider contracting with him. Then the lighthouse keeper says that because of the turtle's disappearance, Haruhi's power is now only half, which means that even if he contracts with Haruhi now, the contract will only be half effective. Yukari asks the lighthouse keeper what this turtle looks like. The lighthouse keeper says the turtle is the partner of the coward who turned into a ghost, and that it must have hidden near the Tsubaki Hotel. The lighthouse keeper asks them to find the turtle within a week using Haruhi's power. Haruhi complains, saying the place is too big, and that he won't be able to find the turtle on his own. The lighthouse keeper responds that he can only enlist one saint, and that saint must be Yukari. At the same time, Toriko is fighting the crab monsters. Toriko kills many of them, but there are too many. Sin also notices during the battle that enemy supplies have started to arrive. Sin then orders the team to flee immediately. After the team's retreat, Casey expresses his frustration at the lighthouse keeper's choice at Yukari and says he deserves this. But Sin interrupts him and tells him that the lighthouse keeper's contract is important and must be respected. Casey disrespectfully ignores Sin and leaves. The president apologizes to Yukari for her weakness and asks him to find the turtle within a week, telling him she trusts him. Then Yukari meets Haruhi and shakes his hand.